Hi, it's Rabbi Alex, and I'm here with David Friedman, who is an artist from Sfat, which is a community in the north of Israel. And he's here in Buffalo with an organization called Amiel B'Kihila. And we're so grateful to have him here in Buffalo for a couple of days. And since he's in our building right now, I decided to bring him in to talk about this week's Torah portion. This week is Vayigash, which, as David just told me, this is the most emotional Torah portion because you have really the reunion of Joseph and his brothers, where each of them finally reveals one another to each other, and they find out what it is to be mishpacha together.
Take responsibility for each other.
Yeah, it's hard being a mishpacha sometimes. And it really takes them to take a real chance to come together. And it also means that Joseph has to reveal himself to the court of Egypt and reveal who he is. So it's a double revelation.
But for me, it's like the beginning of the book of Bereshit, where you have the brothers Cain and Abel, and my brother's keeper. And here finally you have that scene where Yehuda takes responsibility to be the keeper of his brother Benjamin,
right,
which was the catalyst that brought them all together.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite of the Cain and Abel story in a way. So I was thinking about one thing that comes to fruition, which is that Jacob, and as the family's reunited, there are 70 of them. And they go from this family. Joseph is completely disconnected from the rest of his relatives, to realizing that not only is he reconnected with all of his siblings, but all of them have children, and it's a whole boisterous family that he's now part of. It's suddenly his whole entire world changes from basically being an orphan in the world, disconnected, to being connected to this very large family. So I especially thought about this in terms of Israel, because 2 years ago when I was there, I have a family that came from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. They're 4 children of my great uncle Jack, which is his Hebrew name Yaakov, and they all made Aliyah in the 1980s. And now, when I was in Israel 2 years ago, the 70th member of the family, my cousin Ruti, had a baby right when I visited that morning, and that became like the 70th member of their family, just like that, out of nowhere.
Wow.
And you were telling me when we were talking, your family in a way was the same kind of thing, because you came to Israel in the 70s.
Well, we first tried to move to Israel in 1969. My parents and I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters and myself, and we lived in Beersheba for a year. And my father didn't have a good enough job in order to stay, so we were there for 1 year and went back to Denver where I grew up. But in the 70s, the late 70s, we sort of made our way back to Israel. Now my whole family in Israel.
Yeah, and all of you came, 5 of you, you have 4 siblings, and they had kids, and you have kids, and they all grew.
Yeah, like from my parents and their descendants is well over 100.
It's incredible. It makes Jacob's family look small, right?
It's a tribe.
Yeah. You were also telling me a wonderful story about your first visit when you were only there a year, that you happened to meet a very famous person.
Yes. Beersheba is very close to Kibbutz Sde Boker, where the first Prime Minister of Israel, David Ben-Gurion, where he lived, and he was still alive there in 1969. And we did an outing from the absorption center, and David Ben-Gurion spoke to us in the classroom of all the people that were trying to move to Israel. They told him that there's a doctor from the United States with 5 children who's moving to Israel. He wanted to shake our hands. So when I was 12 years old, I shook hands with David Ben-Gurion.
We were talking beforehand. It's too bad you don't have a picture of that moment, but it's in your head.
It was the days where not everybody had a phone in their pocket.
Yeah, we couldn't do live videos. But I think my family story and then your family story just really shows how our families can change from generation to generation. That this growth that we don't even know. One of the things for my family, my great uncle still lives in Harrisburg. And it's just like Jacob kind of being disconnected from the rest of his family, like we have in this Torah portion. And these stories that we have in the Torah, they really come alive in our own families. It's quite remarkable. So we're really glad to have David with us this whole week. If you have a chance to study with him, he's an amazing artist. He does Kabbalistic letters. And if you've been to Sfat, it's the most amazing place. Go and find him out there. One of the main streets, if you don't get a chance to see him here.
In the old city of Sfat.
In the old city. Sfat is not the biggest city, so you can find him. And look him up online as well. But a great rest of your week, and take care. Till next time.
Bye.
Shalom.
Shalom.